my friends, Spider-Man, No Way Home, because I'm Bonesaw. And I got Brent Parker.
I live for these moments. I can die right now, right here, and be absolutely fulfilled in existing. That was fantastic. Thank you. Hey, Nick, what's going on, man?
Oh, not too much, my friend. Spider-Man, buddy.
Spider-Man, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we've already talked about this a little bit previously real quick. We're going to keep this condensed and tight. And this one, I hope you guys really enjoy because it turns out, I think, both Nick and I not only really enjoyed this, there was really something special about this film, I thought. I'm going to jump right in here. I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. We'll do this all. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, there will be spoilers. We're going to touch all the stuff that we thought was awesome, and about 90% of what made the film awesome is heavily spoiler related. So if you want, stop this here and now, go watch the film, come back, start us back up, and then you too can feel the excitement and joy that we're about to.
Not the band, by the way.
No, they're the worst. That band is. But with all that being said, what I want to jump into first and foremost is how this film made me feel a joy I didn't know I was missing. And that is bringing in the previous two Spider-Mans into the film.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
the villains were fine. Don't get me wrong. I think all the villains were great. I'm glad they were there. And they could have probably left it at that, and that was still exciting.
Sure.
Bringing in, now I'm going to forget their names right off the top of my head. Help me.
Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire.
Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Bringing them in, not only did they do an excellent job of staying true to the characters that they portrayed of their Spider-Man. One being very sensitive, soft, the other a little darker and bleaker. I thought they did so good at that. And then watching the three Spider-Men come together and behave like they were still one unit, and yet they were still individuals. It was amazing. It was so cool to see how they all fulfilled that aspect of being Peter Parker, and yet had their own individual little snippet of him still that hung in the world. Tom Holland, I think, being the most well-rounded kind of Spider-Man view for us, being sassy and teenager, and the whole struggle of being Spider-Man and discovering who he is. But then watching these other two more, I'm going to say the word more mature Spider-Men, and only because it just, they're a little older in retrospective.
Right, because sadly Andrew is probably not more mature in the situation. He's probably, he's actually de-evolved in a lot of ways from saying he actually was not pulling punches, and that right there was like, oh man. And watching these movies, buddy, even though there are certain aspects about the movie that maybe didn't work, whatnot, I love Tobey Maguire. Like, you and I grew up with Tobey Maguire, so that was our Spider-Man. And that was like one of the it was probably like the third true finally they're starting to make good superhero movies, and that was like one that was like, oh, here's Spider-Man's version of that. And so we get to see Tobey Maguire doing this thing. First one was excellent. Second one probably even better. Third one not so much. But you get invested in these characters because of first of all, Sam Raimi is the man, but Tobey Maguire himself, the way he convinced you of his Peter Parker, it was beautiful. And then you see him now, and he's like, oh, I'm wiser. I loved it. I loved it.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. They did such a good job of showing them, and their behavior together again is just fascinating. It was to see them have such intense, immediate chemistry. I would love to know how that was developed, and I would like to know if that's just them as actors enjoying each other playing the same role in different ways, and so that immediately built that repertoire of like, yeah, I was Spider-Man. This is how I interpreted this, and this is how I displayed it, and or what it was, or did they get together and say, hey, we need to hang out a fuckload because we need to bond, we need to be something special on screen because we're all the same person, and yet we're also very dynamically different to a certain degree. We represented something very different at a time. And man, that brought me so much joy. Watching them hang out and watching them genuinely care about each other because they're all the same person, but they're not. In a weird, wild way. So good. So my first just top of the world moment was watching them hang out, and the climactic end sequence of them fighting all the villains and all that stuff and getting everything sorted. While one of those kind of fights, in my opinion, not like an Avenger scale fight, right, where they're just going all out and it's super spectacular to watch because they're beating the crap out of stuff and it's visceral. This was very, they have a riddle to solve, so to speak, and that's the action kind of spoke to that. But it was still so cool. It was so cool, and it was just so fun to watch them come together and really live that value, show that ideal of Spider-Man. Was just, again, my out the gate, that's my first thing I gotta say. I don't know how.
Absolutely. No, and that's it. Like, and they did the whole thing where they all like pointed at each other. The whole thing where Andrew first sees Toby, and then they do that little thing where they jump up in the air and then they land, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" The whole back cracking thing. That every single thing that you do. First of all, you and I like know what the back thing is. We know all these little inside jokes because we actually lived through. I mean, we were watching these things happen. We saw Tobey Maguire hurt himself from Seabiscuit, and then my back, and then Kirsten Dunst, like a little brat that she is, try to get her boyfriend at the time, Jake Gyllenhaal, to play. But the funny thing is no, you can't play Peter Parker if you're Mysterio, Brent.
Yeah, can't do it. You're not allowed. Not allowed. Yeah, it's. I think the second thing that I really enjoyed about that film, the villains. Again, I started there a little bit, mention it, but the individual who played Doc Ock, and I can't remember the actor's name,
Alfred Molina.
First off, it was wonderful to see him back.
Yes.
Not only is it wonderful to see him back, but to see him. I feel like he's a little one note, obviously, in Spider-Man, because he started as a very complex character, obviously. His intention with the arms and what he intended to do in the world and how that went wrong because of the, they were short-circuited, they overcharged, or whatever it was, where it just, took over his brain, kind of. But to see him get depth, to see him kind of come back a bit full circle and really be genuine and caring and return to the person he is on the inside, not the villain he is as Doc Ock. Wow. And then... oh my God, William Dafoe! Can you?
Always.
He knocks it out.
I mean, always. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I mean, yes, of course, unreal. I'm not surprised. This is one gripe I have with Willem Dafoe's situation, and it has nothing to do with him himself. It felt like when I was watching the movie, there were parts when Willem Dafoe was just bringing it, and then they took the camera off him. I'm like, whoa, put it back on him, because that's all I care about. Like the part whenever when he's getting his face punched in, he's sitting there like, after he gets punched, I'm sitting there going, dude, Willem Dafoe, I love you.
Yes. Oh man, when he is fighting Spider-Man and they're busting through those ceilings as they're doing that descending sequence, number one, great shot.
Oh, that was a cool shot, yeah.
What a cool shot. Both, if you had done that in the Sam Raimi days, it would have been a lot cornier and a lot harder to I think, enjoy.
Sure.
But oh my goodness, that shot alone. But then, like you said, every time when he was Goblin, when he was the Green Goblin, when he was the bad guy, he was bad. Oh, he was great. He was scary and unnerving, and but you couldn't take your eyes off him. It's like watching, Ledger's Joker, or like watching Joaquin Phoenix. He did the Joker, right?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. They were on screen as that villain. Oh my God, you were glued to it. That's what you're so right. You're like, I'm not looking away because there's a part of me, this animal part of me, it's like, stop, this is scary. He's a bad man. But I'm just like, yeah, but I gotta watch who he kills next because I can't say no. Are you kidding me? It's just fantastic. So the villain roster was so good. And again, between those two alone, you could have just been like, there's those two. That's the only two in there. And I would have been like, great, let's keep going. This is fine. And
you had Jamie Foxx and Rye Ivans and who was the third one I'm thinking of?
The Sandman guy, was that right?
Sandman, yeah, whatever.
Chris knows his name.
Damn, I did too.
We're really good at this.
Yeah, Thomas Hayden Church. That's what it is.
Ah, that's the man.
Yeah, but you have all these excellent little small performances that kind of felt like they were just almost filmed in their own little location. They just kind of having a good time. But the bread and butter was easily Alfred Molina, and then above him even Willem Dafoe, and even that part, like you said, like he's especially great when he's the Green Goblin. But that part right at the very end, whenever he just got done doing all that stuff he did, he killed people, and then the moment he kind of snaps out of it after he gives him all what he needs, he looks and you can see it. Like only good actors can do this, but you saw he's just like, what did I do? Like what?
His regret.
Yes, it just hit him hard. Like, what did I do? And but any lesser actor would have been like, okay, that was corny. But the way he did, you just like, oh no, he's hurt. He's hurting right now. Oh.
Yeah, he embodies that character so well. And I mean, again, like you said, a great actor really brings a character to true life. And I mean, true life is in. There is something special about their performance, whether it's micro expressions in their face, whatever it might be. They have an art that they display, and those two during this displayed that so well. So it was such a cool maybe actor course to take and to understand the transition of villain to hero to a certain degree, or villain to, I don't know, cured villain, however you want to look at it. But yeah, William Dafoe's switch at the end of recognizing that he doesn't remember or know what he did, but he can immediately understand through Tom Holland's Peter Parker's rage and fury and hurt that he knows he did something completely terrible, and having Toby's Peter there on top of it, sorry, I'm
not even saying anything. It was beautiful. Yeah, he's not even saying anything. At that part when he jumps in front of him, like you're talking about, he doesn't say, no, Peter, this is not you. He doesn't have to. He just looks at him. He just looks, and very calmly, just almost like this Peter Parker has been there and done that and done things he regretted. He was excited whenever he killed Sandman. When he thought he killed Sandman, he was excited about it. He's like, yeah, and you could see that he went to the dark side, and then. So he's like, oh, I've done things, and then of course Andrew Garfield, he's like not pulling punches and pretty much just a sad, a depressed Spider-Man is a scary Spider-Man, absolutely.
Yeah, brutal Spider-Man.
And might say my favorite moment in the whole movie, and there's a million, but my favorite that just really hit me in the feelers, oddly enough, was actually, well, not oddly enough, and Andrew is by far one of my favorite actors. When I saw him in Hacksaw Ridge, I'm thinking this is one of the coolest movies maybe I've ever seen of all time. Hacksaw Ridge, and someone like him, you see him like in Silence, he's good in everything, but see him as Spider-Man, whenever he loses Gwen, and he's like holding her, and he's like, Gwen, and he's confused, he's like, oh my gosh, and then finally he starts hitting him that she's dead, and then he starts seeing it. It was the most perfect performance, and then you see everything fixed for him whenever he saves the new MJ. It was beautiful.
When they do such a good job of healing some of those hurts, but in very subtle ways, or at least helping the character overcome. Where and I think it's a really good example, right? We get to see Gwen dies in the second one, if I recall, for the Garfield.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we never kind of got a third or any resolution to that overall kind of Spider-Man.
Right. It was going to be Mary Jane the next movie. He was going to somewhat heal him, and he was going to be somewhat fine. But since that never happened,
we get, and I think it's fair, we get a broken Spider-Man bit on this. And I think it's really cool that without a lot of exposition, without a lot of overbearing, they did really well going, if you're here seeing Spider-Man No Way Home, you have fucking seen the other stuff. So we're not going to just explain it. We're going to touch these things gently, and the actor's job is to portray the level of trauma that they feel, the sadness, the whatever it might be associated with that thing that you know about that we're not going to talk about very much. We're just going to prod it a little bit because we want to get resolution without treating you like you're dumb.
Right. Well put.
Man, so good. When he saves her and he does it right and doesn't break her little neck, it's like you feel relieved. When the jump is happening and you're going, I've seen this, I've seen all this happen before.
Because Tom's gets taken away by a goblin, you're like, oh no. And then I'm sure you did the same thing right before you go, but wouldn't it be cool if it was Andrew Garfield that did it, though? Wouldn't it kind of be... And all of a sudden, you see his suit, and you're like, oh, my God, they're doing that.
When he jumped off, I was like, oh, my God, if he kills her, I'm going to scream. I'm going to lose it. Because, it was so good and so tense. But to do that successfully and have that healing moment. Again, it doesn't fix everything, but you can see... And again, he portrays it so well. The sense of relief. He has an immediate thing where he kind of goes...
He tears up and he's just
yeah,
and because he's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, and then he starts, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, almost like I will be.
Yeah, will be. I'm gonna get old. The trauma will be there, but I have, I've healed from that a little bit. I've got to do things again. I got that second chance that I really needed. That and we really needed to see it. I mean, obviously the films that he was in built kind of to that whole concept of that second chance kind of thing. So it was awesome to see that. It was, and again, Peter jumping in front of the goblin and getting stabbed. That Tobey Maguire of I get mad. I got mad that my Uncle Ben's dead. He blamed himself for that because he got mad and said, no, I'm not going to stop this guy. I don't have to stop him. And then Uncle Ben dies, right? That Spider-Man will always carry that weight. He will always have that no matter what. And then on top of it, like you said, the Sandman thing, there are plenty of stuff, especially when he's doing Black Suit Spider-Man being real extra shitty.
Oh yeah. Well, with his tango and weird dancing too.
Yeah. When he takes that hit though, and he's that human shield. It's also like he's an emotional shield for Tom, and I think it's a real layered thing. If you want to chew on it a bit, you can apply a lot to it. but to see him also do the same thing, he gets stabbed and everything. He's clearly unhappy about, and he's in pain, but he's got a sense of relief. His face also shows that concept of like, I did it right this time.
Mm-hmm.
I did it right,
Mm-hmm.
and I helped someone else get over it. I stopped someone from doing
Yeah.
what I do,
I,
and
I I messed up, but guess what? I get to teach another to not mess up, and that
I get to
and
be
some.
that barrier this time
Yes, I
that
get.
I needed.
Yes, I in a way. This is retribution. This is to kind of like cleanse my soul of my previous sins, kind of feeling.
Hmm.
And it's a beautiful thing, and they all have their little things. Yeah, it would have been cool to see Peter Parker, like both of them, to kind of swing by and like, what am I doing here? I better go back in that hole again. And they go back in, and they're like, oh, that was kind of fun. But the fact that
Yeah,
they're not only in it and they're not only like cameos, but they make the movie like they are part of the story, and
yep.
it affects their worlds now, and it affects everything. So maybe Peter Parker's gonna go back, because Tobey Maguire said, yeah, we're still working on it, but we're doing it. Implying, like, I'm sure she's still pissed off that he's Spider-Man. He sacrifices his time and effort away from her, and she's it's just back and forth like it would be in the comics, and that's probably the stereotype of what we would think Peter Parker's like. But all these things are changed, and then Andrew. But the biggest change, sadly, is our new Spider-Man, Tom. I mean,
Hmm.
he actually like did what they all had to do at one point, but he did it with everyone. He said
He
goodbye,
made a
a
very big
sacrifice.
sacrifice,
Yes, yes.
and I think that brings up the final part I just want to touch on, and I think with both the ending there because of who it involves, I think it's very important that the dynamic between those two characters is discussed a little, just because I think it's really cool and it's really well written as
Mm.
far as what happens. Doctor Strange is obviously the I wouldn't say the mentor-esque figure, so to speak, in this, but he is, right. He's the new Tony to Peter, kind of.
Mm.
Okay, when he's in a jam and he's in something tight, he knows Tony's not around, but he can reach out to someone else, older, wiser, that whole thing. And Strange, I think, clearly definitely has the same kind of arrogance to a certain degree.
Sure, sure.
Him and Tony, you put them next to each other, and you could definitely see the character-wise. You're like, ooh, I can see why you two get in conflict because you're the same goddamn person. You're the same
Yeah,
dude.
absolutely, absolutely. Good
Yeah.
call, good call.
And so watching the dynamic between him and Peter it's not a lot in the film, but I think when they're together on screen, it's captivating. I
Mm.
think watching them
They were great.
play
Their
out.
chemistry was great.
Yep, and especially when it becomes more tumultuous, when there's more tension there, it really does bring in, that mentor mentee, and then that split a bit between them because one of them thinks very direct solution wise, and the other one has a heart of gold and doesn't when recognizes what's going to happen, doesn't want it to happen. When he recognizes that he's basically just sending people to get killed wherever they go back to, that's not right for them.
Right,
For him, he can't handle that well. While Doctor Strange is like, look, dude, we brought him over here, shouldn't have done it. So who cares? They got to get the hell out.
right,
And both are very justified to a certain degree in their
right.
thinking, right? For Strange is like, look, dude, we busted his spell and it's going to rip this universe into a million pieces. Yes, this is a bad thing. It's got to go. Um, However, you can see the thing of like if you were told that someone you just met who isn't a bad person but has done something bad, and you're like, yeah, by the way, when they go back, they have to go back to the electric chair. That's where they're going immediately. Nothing else. They're just going to get zapped. And you're like, okay, hang on, wait. Is there another way to get justice for this? Is there something else? It would run through your head. The bare minimum, you would stop and think about it. The bare minimum.
Hmm.
So that chemistry between them and that coming to a front really is so fantastic to watch it come full circle when Strange kind of goes, okay, look, there's only one way to fix this, and you want to do it, I guess, because it's awful. And to see his genuine pain in realizing what's going to happen, even for him, and how upsetting that it's so subtle but so good. I think there's a lot of very subtle performance to the tail end on that for that actor. What's his name?
Benedict Cumberbatch, which is,
Cumberbatch. Thank you.
which I mean, Sherlock Holmes. Shout out to that. That's maybe one of the best TV
Oh,
shows of all time.
easily one of the best. He's
Because
fantastic.
of him and Martin Freeman, that show is
He,
the bee's knees. Yeah, absolutely.
good. It's just good. It's just they're two, I think, very talented actors. I think Tom Holland specifically is he's got a lot of time left cinema wise, and I think he can definitely branch out into a lot more different stuff. He did that movie on Netflix that I can't remember the name of it, but I enjoyed him immensely in that, and to see him get
That
to
cherry bomb or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah,
He's a
Cutie Bomb or way. Yeah, it's the one I know. The Russo brothers directed it, and I haven't seen it yet. I'm curious myself, but I know he's going to be doing Nathan Drake soon, and I'm curious about that.
yeah.
I'm not.
I think that
Even though the face Mark Wahlberg makes the face now, I don't think Mark Wahlberg is right for the part. To be honest.
no, no, I would agree. I think that
Okay.
feels like they just tacked another name on there a little bit.
Yep.
I think Tom Holland is a fine Nathan Drake as far as character wise.
Sure.
I think I'm excited to see him have like a little bit of a rougher Indiana Jones edge to him.
Mm,
Get a little more scrappy in that sense.
mm,
Not wear a mask and get beat up to really get in there. Um, but I think Tom Holland again. I think he's talented enough that
yeah.
we get to see more of him. And I think the very ending of this film, through the tail end of what Doctor Strange has to do, and then what he chooses to do, what Peter Parker decides to do once things are set right, um, show a lot of really good, careful acting in
Mm,
the semblance of. You could really oversell the distraught and the pain a little bit, but then you could also undersell it a little bit. And I think he walked a very fine line. And I thought it was done really well and very,
mm,
very true to Peter
mm.
Parker. I think
He
very,
carried it.
very
He
true to his
carried a
character.
movie. He carried a movie that already had a lot of really crazy things going for it. We just talked about Benedict Cumberbatch. We just talked about Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, all these guys who are already solo Oscar winners kind of people. And then all of a sudden, here's Tom Holland, a kid who's half their age, and he is able to carry a movie where it's like, hey, you need to be happy as hell right now, and then your friend, your aunt's gonna die, and then you need to be sad for the rest of the movie, but you also need to be like, oh, I'm still Spider Man, and you're only a 22-year-old kid in real life. Good luck.
Yep, exactly. It's a lot to ask, and especially the complexity. You read a Spider-Man comic, and I think you just nailed it. Basically,
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man comics are these constant rides of like highs and
oh yeah,
lows for him, and the lows are incredibly low, and yet,
yeah.
like you said, he has to still embody this concept of who he's going to be as Spider-Man, the hero he intends to be.
Hmm.
And this film nails that, and I think Tom Holland does a fantastic job of really fleshing Peter Parker completely to life and really giving like if they don't make another Spider-Man movie in 10, 20 years, I don't care because I think this is a fine story. This is a fine three set tale, and all the extra stuff of him being in with Avengers, Civil War, Infinity War, all that stuff with him being in there and around, it displays more than enough of the character that I'm more than satisfied film wise. I really am. I hope, they get on this train in 10, 20 years, and before my lifetime ends, I get to see maybe 3 more really good Spider Man movies. But
Sure.
it's so fantastic to live in a time and age now where I can go back and be like, oh, Spider Man, Homecoming, No
No
Way
way
Home,
home.
Far From
Yeah.
Home. Oh, man, these are just
Yeah.
they're films you can
Oh.
enjoy it. You can just enjoy them. It's so nice to sit there and be able to say that and be able to really be like, no, no, no. You want to learn about a superhero? Let's break out these films. Let me teach you about Spider Man, and just sit down and watch them with someone who has no idea about Spider Man. It's not no longer do you need this like catalog esque thing of comic books per se. These films are good enough you can just be like, that's the character.
Hmm.
And it as it's proven, he is engaging and people like Spider-Man even more. He's even more popular. And so it's like shit. That speaks for itself. It really does. And I think that's
Yeah.
so incredible.
Well, Spider Man's been
So,
like most popular comic book for a long time, and then I don't know, it might have been like, went down a little bit, but I'm sure it's right back up to number one again. But I I mean, this is a movie that was even brought one of my favorite properties that Marvel did that was put in the trash, which was Daredevil,
oh, cool.
having Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock. Yeah, yes sir, yes sir.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Thank God for that.
They need just
Jeez.
me the final off the side a little bit real
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
We had to talk about that. I had to bring it up. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
okay. Tell me this: do they need to do more Daredevil in the same vein they did in Netflix? Just give me Charlie Cox, give me
Yes.
Daredevil. I think they need to do more. When he was in there and he caught that brick, I was just like, okay, no, don't take the camera away from him. Extend the film another hour and a half because I need to know what Daredevil's been up to for a while because I haven't seen him in a bit. So just keep on going. Don't take him away. And then they took him away, and a part of me died, and I was very upset. But
And we also have Vincent D'Onofrio that was in Hawkeye too.
oh,
So
yeah,
it's obvious that they're like, hey guys, we like, and I remember kind of too. They said this with Punisher as well. They said when they got rid of the seasons, they got, hey guys, just relax, okay, just just chill out. It's like they already knew. They already knew.
yeah, they must have because like if anything put Marvel on the map outside of the films necessarily with the success of Avengers, it was those series. And
Yes.
despite that, most of the series were not great.
Yeah, not great.
Daredevil and the Defenders, in my opinion, and Punisher, those three,
Yeah,
can stand on their own. I will go watch Defenders right now, even though of all of them, it's maybe the third worst of the bunch, so to speak.
yeah, I was gonna
But
say, yeah, yeah, it probably would be.
I will watch Daredevil and I will watch Punisher until my eyes bleed because they are done with such
Well,
care
yeah.
and talent by both. I mean, John Barenthal
John
and
Barenthal is the. I mean,
Brittany.
he's the man.
is-
Stand down. He's so awesome.
Oh, but the point is to get off on that. And then the Kingpin. Obviously, he did. Oh my God, that guy is a fantastic Kingpin. At first, I was like,
Yeah,
how do
Vincent
you-
D'Onofrio is an amazing actor
Huh?
too. So yeah, why not?
It was crazy because I was just looking at him like, okay, I mean, he's got a look to him, but how do you tell me he's a Kingpin? When he does that scene in Daredevil where he uses that car door and
And
loses his mind a little
slams
bit,
into yeah, oh yeah, oh
I'm
yeah.
like,
This guy's
oh.
great.
okay, that's a Kingpin. He done did the damn that brain matter. Okay, yeah, you got me. And yeah, so
And now they're all
this is-
part of the Marvel universe. They're part of
They're-
the yes. There's no like, oh, that's cool, but it's not canon. Sorry, guys. No, this is part of this is the cohesiveness is beautiful. They even had a little part where they were talking about Flashpoint, which is hilarious. A DC reference. I'm like, hey, you guys supporting them too? Might as well. I mean, shit. I mean,
I love it. All square. What do you do?
Superman, come over and help these guys.
So it is that really brings a lot of like hope
Yeah.
into me of like because I mean perfect example and this will be my last tangent and then we'll get out of here and give everybody their time back. However,
No.
Moon Knight.
Oh yeah, the trailer just came out. Yes, sir.
That was, all I thought was, oh, Daredevil in a white suit. Let's go. Give me more of that. I want the angry, broken, violent stuff that Netflix was giving me, but I want it with a better budget. And I'm over here looking at Moon Knight going, is this it? Is this
Egyptian style.
gonna- yeah, right.
Fight like an Egyptian.
But yeah, so I think we have a lot of really good stuff to look forward to. And I think
Yes.
it's really great that Spider-Man No Way Home, not only for me, again, it put a nice bow on that whole Marvel sequence for me. Everything from, Iron Man 1 to now. To me, and I know this may not be strictly, well, that's phase, whatever. To me, that's like the phases wrapped. For me, that's where they went, okay, we have resolution in pretty much every story
Yes.
that I cared about
Yes.
from start to end there. So now it's cool to see, like, hey, by the way, how do you feel about Moon Knight? You guys like Moon Knight? You remember that dude in the red suit? Ba-bow, he's coming. And it's just, that excites me because I want more stories, just like I want more Star Wars stories, it turns out. Didn't know I wanted so many more, and now I'm like, sir, can I have another? You gave me the Mando. Boba's okay, but can you give me more?
Right.
There's so much good stuff and so many possibilities done with great teams that, God, give me Daredevil with that team. Give me Daredevil with John Favreau in there going, all right, this is the story we're going to tell, boys. And I'll go, yeah, give me that. Give me that because Boba was great.
As long as you show their characters correctly. Like, for example, we know the Daredevil now of this gritty, one take kind of thing where we're seeing the whole fight being done like that. I don't want that. I don't want the change now where he's like doing the typical things that Captain America would be doing and whatnot. I need to see
want that
the grittiness.
mean-
Yes.
Mean Savage wraps a chain around his fist, beats the hell out of guys going down a set of stairs, and parts of the fight I just have to imagine because, he's just doing work.
Yeah,
That is one
yeah.
of the best scenes in comic book and maybe
When he has a
even-
Punisher, he has a Punisher in the elevator going down. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the one where this is in season 1, and I can't remember. He goes to save a kidnapped girl, maybe or something. I can't fully remember, but it's an entire shot of him like he comes down the set of stairs and it's this long hallway.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're
And he
talking
turns sideways and he goes, and he just turns into it, and then it's 5 minutes of absolute brutality of him just going to town, and he steps through that door for a little bit, and you can hear the sounds of the violence, and the camera just keeps doing this nice close. You don't see anything going on forever. And the guy flies out the door, and he steps out tired as hell, beats the hell of another guy until finally they're all like, they just get the crap beat out of him, and he takes those lights out with the chain. That whole sequence, I'm just
about.
losing
Oh,
it.
it was beautiful. Yeah, good call. And that was like the first time you see him fight for real too. So
When he goes like he's not playing around, and it's really good. And yeah, give us more of that because you've given us so much cinema-wise as far as films. Disney has more money than God, so they have the budget that they can constantly throw it at any character at this point. And clearly their writing teams are aware that they're doing something right. There is a certain formula they're looking at, and it's working. So again, look what Netflix did. Hell, get the writers back from the Netflix thing. I don't care. I thought they did great. They were fantastic. Foggy was great. What's her name was great. Girl, she did excellent. I can't remember her name. Anyway, their assistant who's really great, and she's super
Karen.
Yes, she was fantastic. The whole John Barenthal was obviously very good. Bring it all back, because we deserve more, because you've already set the bar so very high, and we've had so much fun with Spider-Man. I think we deserve more in smaller pieces but larger stories. So, sorry, that's a whole tangent I just went on about the very end there.
You warned us, so it's okay.
Yeah, I did. All right,
they left a while ago, so don't even worry about it.
They stopped watching, that's fair. But that is my last bit. That's it. I'm walking away.
Perfect. Well, and it's crazy. At the end of the day, I would say in terms of live action, this is my favorite Spider-Man. Into the Spideyverse, it's still, I don't know. I mean, they Into the Spideyverse was I consider to be a perfect movie. So I don't know. I don't want to say yet how I feel. It's just like watching Forrest Gump, and then the next day you watch Green Mile, and you can't really tell which one's better. But still, I mean, I'm trying. Let me figure that out, Brent. Okay. How dare they have two excellent Spider-Man movies, and I hope they have a lot more, and I hope they bring Andrew back for maybe one more too, if he wants to go look at a little Mary Jane himself action, and then we'll just see how Tom does. But Tom's killing it, and I can't wait.
I agree. It was fantastic. It's a true delight. That's all I got, Nick. That's it. There. I'm not. Delight.
All right. Well, Brent, I love you, buddy. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Nick. Thank you, everybody from the Nerd Frenzy podcast station. You guys are absolutely great. Nick, anytime you need me to go on random tangents and holler about anything, I am more than happy to hop in here. I love you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I love you too, buddy. Thank you so much, Brent. You're my rock, and I appreciate you serving your country, being a real man, and I love you, bud. And
edit that in. Edit a flag and an eagle sound right now.
In the arms of an angel, or something epic. Maybe I'm proud to be an American. There it is.
And I'm proud to be
all right, well,
an
take care, everyone.
American, where at least I know